to reflect on the life of Dara Shikoh with a view to perhaps writing something on him. I had a hope, which was like a dream, that I might someday come to Kashmir. But I could never have imagined that the daughter of a former Sadr-e-Riyasat, in the presence of the daughter of the Sher-e-Kashmir, would enable me to read what I am reading under literally the luminous shadow of Parimahal. It is luminous because some shadows fall when the light is incumbent on the object, and then that shadow is what a shadow is. But some shadows proceed when the object is not obstructing but actually transmitting the light it has received. And Dara was such a person. He was regarded by many as a dreamer. Now the word dreamer is used dismissively. It is used as a patronizing phrase to describe somebody who is a little out of it all. Now, he was out of it all, and yet he was ahead of everyone around him who was not out of it. I will just share a few words written by Maulana Abul Kalam Azad in 1910, which is 102 years ago. Maulana Sahab says, during the last days of Emperor Shah Jahan, Dara Shikoh was heir apparent. A man of Sufi temperament, he was unique among Mughal princes. It is a blot on historical veracity that the pen which recorded the history of the Mughal period was always held by Prince Dara Shikoh's enemies. Behind the screen of political maneuvers, the real picture has become blurred. From his early years, Dara displayed the attributes of a darwesh. He always kept company with philosophers and Sufis. His writings indicate that the author was a man of excellent taste, and the overwhelming proof of Dara Shikoh's taste is that in pursuing his goal, he lost the distinction between the temple and the mosque. The humility with which he met the Muslim divines was matched by the devotion with which he bowed his head before the Hindu saints and sadhus. Who can deny the purity of this principle? That was Maulana Sahib. Now he bowed his head before Muslim divines and Hindu saints, all right, but he was betrayed equally by people of both faiths and people of other faiths than these two as well. Dara Shikoh had more than his share of both. He was extraordinarily trusted and loved by the people, and he was betrayed by many who had the power to betray because they had the arrogance to patronize. Dara was to have been the Empress of India, but she was not interested. Not interested was Nadira. She had warned him. She had said, I do not think that is a life for you. I do not think that is a life for me. And that is certainly not a life for our children. She said, change your view. Why are you fighting your brother to become king? Let him be king. He wants to be king. Why should you be like him? Be like someone else. Be new. Be different. She said, you will be killed if you become emperor. He was killed without ever having become emperor. She preceded him, a fugitive. He followed not long thereafter, fugitive Dara. But was the fugitive futile? was his life a waste? One has to only see the Peri Mahal. One has to only see his humbler fort beneath his great-grandfather's to know that he was not futile. One has to only see the children of Jammu and Kashmir, whom I had the privilege of listening to and hearing 2 days ago, to know that his life has not been futile. But ultimately, it is not to make Dara vindicated that his dream needs to be redeemed. It is to make the bequest of nature and the legacy of time on this chunk of earth, which is the subcontinent of India. It is to make that legacy fulfill itself, that Dara's dream needs to be fulfilled. Life is not created to turn upon itself. It is meant to render a better account of itself. And I do not know where to start. For I have, in my overstayal on this earth, by overstayal I mean the meaningless occupation of space and the rather objectless utilization of space. Those who make murals will know how every square inch counts. If that is left blank, that is not so bad. But if it is filled with graffiti of one's ego, it is wrong. I have filled every square foot of my life with the graffiti of my ego. And sometimes that ego working in reverse becomes worse than ego. But the same man who dreamt that he could one day occupy the peacock throne, because he knew that every other possible claimant to the peacock throne was not worth the dust at the end of the tip of the peacock's feather. And after Dara has gone, in Delhi, one of his friends, Abhay Chand, the merchant, he goes to the austere dwelling of Sarmad the mystic. Sarmad is seated on the floor, surrounded by devotees of all faiths. And Abhay Chand tells Sarmad, great teacher, the deed is done. Evil over good has won. Dara has been beheaded. Virtue wails, gleeful are the wicked. His remains, bloody and disjointed, are to be paraded, flaunted by Aurangzeb's decree for the benefit of Delhi, and then interred without fuss near Emperor Humayun's. And Sarmad says, beheaded is God-headed. Clouds part, reveal his heart, and from its throne the peacock has flown. If there is any patch on earth which can tell humanity, and indeed the occupants of planet Earth, the way out by an ecologically intelligent use of its resources and an ideologically intelligent use of its spiritual traditions, which tell us that moderation and not excess is the way out, then it is Kashmir. And I have no doubt that that role will be played by those who can wake to see a golden oriole in the sky, a kingfisher on the lake, Peri Mahal across, not casting a shadow but throwing a flood of light.